Great. Okay. How are you doing? Okay. All right. How are you people getting ready for Pesach? Is it happening?
Yeah.
You're getting okay. Some of you are smiling. What you say?
Lots of fun.
Lots of fun. Okay.
Okay.
I would like to start just with a little bit of chizuk because I think that we all could use a little bit of chizuk at this time. And I think that the most important position which women hold in their family ties is at this time preparing for Pesach. The Netziv says that the Baal HaSeder, the one who runs the Seder on the Seder night, he is likened to the Kohen Gadol who does the Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. The procedures of the night of the Seder are holy to that extent. And he wears the vestiges. That's the idea of wearing the kittel, according to some, because it should be like that he's the Kohen doing the Avodah. The women, who they are in charge of the preparations for the Leil HaSeder, not only am I talking about the cleaning and the preparing the food and all the intricate things that have to be done at the Leil HaSeder. What's more important, they create the atmosphere that has the Seder become an experience that's cherished throughout the year. So it's your good cheer, it's your excitement, it's your appreciation and your interest in having the Seder be a success. That's what makes it be a success in the minds of the children for all the years. So I would just like to say that I believe that you have it in you to make the Leil HaSeder the night that's a success for everyone. So the most important thing is you keep your smile on. And as I say many times, and if you don't really have one, fake it anyways, because your kids won't know the difference. Your husband won't know the difference. And if you fake yourself good enough, you won't know the difference. And you'll actually be smiling because it's a wonderful experience to be able to have the Leil HaSeder. The preparations, and you'll see this week when you read the Shul's newsletter, is focused on the idea of the preparation, the importance of preparation. So I'm here right now to answer your questions about the preparation. And if somebody want to start with something, I'm more than happy to listen to any kinds of questions. I would just want to start with a statement about a question that I've been asked many times this year. And I was not sure whether I should actually speak about this subject or not, but I decided that my responsibility demands it of me. There are some people, though this is not my opinion, and I've discussed it in other years on Shabbos Hagadol, there are some people who do not sell chametz gamur. Any kind of chametz that's real chametz, we'll call it that, they get rid of it before Pesach. In my opinion, though that's a nice idea, and it's a chumrah which has basis for it, I'll just quote, first of all, Reb Aaron Kotler. His comment on that chumrah was they didn't make mechiras chametz to sell kidneys. They made mechiras chametz to sell chametz. The Chabina Rav, I've been told, when he was a person who went through the war, on Erev Pesach, he used to go to the bakery, buy bread, put it in the freezer, so that the Bochum should have what to eat right away, Matzeh Pesach, so that they should be able to learn what is necessary.
Oh.
Normally, people ask me, should I be machmer, shouldn't I be machmer? I let people do what they want, and I'm going to let you do what you want this year too. But I would just like to say that those who are machmer on regular years, in my opinion, this year, which I think that we're all aware, we don't know what tomorrow will bring, and we hope that it'll bring Mashiach, and we hope that it'll bring for us goodness, bring us wonderful situation, whatever it is. I think that prudence says this is not a time to waste. So if a person has the ability to give it away to somebody that's going to use it before Pesach, that's fine. But to throw away good food this year in particular, I think that everybody understands that that's not what's supposed to be being done this year. If you don't want to use it yourself, there are many stuff organizations that are going to take it. But this year, above all years, I think it's important that you keep in mind the pinch that people are feeling. And I'm just going to mention another Nakuda, which I'm leaving a little bit open, but I believe that's important. We say in the Leil HaSeder, whoever needs, you want to let them partake of our Seder, they're welcome to come. I don't know about this year, about people being welcome to come. We're not getting involved in that technical question, but definitely this year, more than other years, there are people who are down and out, people who maybe were well off 6 months ago. Could be that they're in a difficult situation today. It's important that we are misameach others in our Seder preparation. So even though some people may not be able to have guests for obvious reasons, but there are probably some infirmed old people who don't have the abilities. If you could just before Pesach, just put in a plastic container or something and send it to somebody so that they should have a little bit more of a simchas chag, you should be yizaycha that will too, as the Rambam says, for those who are b'sameach, other Jews, that will help, that you should have your own simchas hayontif the way that's supposed to be. All right, anybody want to ask any questions? No questions, okay.
No. About the oven. I have a self-clean oven.
Okay.
It's European, and what do I need to remember? What should I do?
Okay. I will tell you, as far as I'm concerned, I don't remember that there should be a difference between European and American. You turn it, you do it, as you say, obviously. But besides for that, depending on the oven and how old it is, sometimes the door, which is not close to the thing, doesn't get heated as well, doesn't get so burnt off as well, and sometimes the glass doesn't. So there are those who are machmer that on the door they put a piece of plastic when the oven, a piece of tinfoil when the oven is on, so that it's covered. But the ones that I've seen and examined, if they're more or less in good condition, I would say that's probably a chumrah. Okay? I just want to say something to the women, give my wife credit where it's due. Many years ago, she said, what's this cleaning all the oven and all that stuff? Just buy a new one for Pesach. If you add up the amount of years that you use it, you're getting paid like 4 cents an hour for cleaning for Pesach, your oven and your stove. If you can afford the space to get a different one, it's worthwhile. Or if you have a self-cleaning one, that could also work. But the amount of effort and time it takes to meticulously clean those kind of surfaces which get hot is really a challenge in its own right. And it's money well spent. That's all. My wife spent the money and I enjoy it. Okay. Anybody else want to ask something? Okay, I'm going to.
Can I ask something?
Please.
I have eggs in my fridge that I've had in the chometz area. Based on the lack of eggs at the moment, can I use them either before Pesach for Pesach or on Pesach itself?
Before Pesach, you could for sure use them. What I would suggest, if you're going to want to use them on Pesach, is that you wash them off to make sure that there's no debris on them. But basically, there's no such thing as a Pesach egg. I will just mention something which is important on the subject of eggs. You may have noticed about a week or so ago, the yolks of eggs changed colors. And the reason why it changed colors is because the feed that they give the birds moves from being chametz to kitnius, because many times, sorry to have to discuss this, but sometimes you find stuff on your eggs. We'll just leave that word stuff to your imagination. And there could actually be some chametz if they ate chametz, and therefore they change the feed so that you shouldn't have that problem. That's part of the hechsher which is done for Pesach eggs. But even if you had chametz-tik eggs from a chametz-tik chicken that ate chametz, there's no problem at all in eating it on Pesach as long as it's clean.
Right, so it's okay to just clean it beforehand.
Just right. That's good enough. You don't do any more than that. All right. I would like to pick on a subject which is very important. I've said this year's gone by, but I'm just going to review it. This year, Mitzvah Hashem, we should be all be in Yerushalayim eating a Korban Pesach together, and it should be, yes, it should be really. I think that many people feel a need to connect. This is we're in a situation where everybody is socially distancing themselves from everybody else, and people are craving to have some kind of a connection, some kind of a chabura to make the Korban Pesach. Mitzvah Mashiach should come shortly, but as it is right now, we have to prepare for things in the world that we're living in today, and we're having our matzah, our Pesach. We're going to have to make sure that we eat and drink the foods of the Leil HaSeder properly. Now, I would like to mention something which I mentioned in the shir to the men. This is very important. This year is better than other years because people are going to be more prepared for Pesach than other years because we're stuck at home. So, in a certain sense, there's something good going on. We're going to be at home, but Erev Pesach is a long day, and people are hungry. Try to work it out that your family should have enough nutrition to make it through the night, but they should still want to be there for the main course, so to speak. That's like a kind of a trick that they leave that for the housewives to figure out how to do that exactly. Comes to karpas. So people, it tastes pretty good. So a lot of people want to eat. We should try to eat less than a kazayas. And the reason why I'm mentioning that in the beginning is because there's a question how big a kazayas is. I don't know if at the end there was a sheet with shiurim which was supposed to have been given out. I sent it in a little bit late. I'm going to maybe put it up in front of the screen. Just 1 second.
It's on the chat. It's
It's there?
It's on,
okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't know. Okay. So is that screen, is the paper understood? I would like to discuss what it says over here on the paper because this is very central. The Chassam Sofer writes in a tshuva, the only mitzvah deraisa that there is involving eating is eating matzah on Leil HaSeder. So this is an opportunity to gain pounds and to gain schar in Elam Haba for a mitzvah deraisa. Therefore, it should be done properly. Whether you eat the matzah b'haseba or you don't eat the matzah b'haseba, there's a machlokas hapoiskim whether women do haseba today or not. That's not my issue. Either way is fine as far as I'm concerned. However, how much matzah you eat is a concern of mine. Not only is it a concern of mine how much matzah you eat, how quickly you eat the matzah is also of concern. All of the shiurim that are eaten on the Leil HaSeder, whether it's the maror, the matzah, the dalet kaisos, they have to be taken in within a relatively short amount of time. So the amount of time, we're going to start with matzah. The last line over here, it says 2, 4, and 9 minutes. So that obviously doesn't make much sense. I'm going to explain what it means. The shortest amount of time, the most machmer shear, is 2 minutes. The middle shear is about 4 minutes, and the most mekel shear is 9 minutes. Now, obviously, we try to do it as quickly as we can. The shear really starts according to halacha l'maisa. We spoke about this on Shabbos HaGadol Drush about 7 or 8 years ago, for those who remember. Starts from when one swallows. All right. So, however it may be, doesn't really make much of a difference at this point. But I would also mention that according to many poskim, and Rav Gifter used to do it if he had trouble eating the matzah, he used to take some water with it. So if a person who has that kind of a problem, you could do that. Better take water with your matzah than not take the right amount or stretch it out. Okay, that's an important idea. How big is a kazayas? A kazayas also fluctuates in difference of opinions between 30 and 17 gram. And that's nefach. That means that's how much it displaces. And it's a relatively large amount of matzah. I would say that basically if you put up your hand like this and you make a piece of matzah like that, According to many, that'll be around this size. According to others, it has to be bigger than that. But what I would like to mention, and this is important, I mention this every year, measure out your kezesim beforehand. Because Leil HaSeder is so precious. And what you can do is bag them for the kids, for the adults, and they have their names on them. You just give them out when the time comes, and you will save yourself a lot of time because Leil HaSeder is really very short. Okay, that is about the amount of time and the quantity. Now I would like to discuss how much matzah does one have to eat. So I'm going to do this. The men shiurim, they know that I do this all the time. I love to contradict myself within 1 second. And it's not because I'm senile. It's actually understand what I'm saying. Lechatchila, one should be eating 5 kezesim. B'diavad, one could eat only 3 kezesim. How big do those kezesim have to be changes also. Okay? So I'm going to start off with the most mekel. Then I'll discuss the most machmer. Then we'll discuss how to do it. The most mekel shear is to have a kazayas, 1 kazayas for motzi matzah, 1 kazayas, even a smaller kazayas for koirech, and 1 kazayas, and this can even be a smaller kazayas for afikomen and the afikomen. So that's 1, a smaller one, and another smaller one. Okay? That's the mekel approach. There's another approach. You should be eating 5 kezesim, 2 for motzi matzah, 1 for motzi, 1 for matzah, and 2 for 1 for the chagiga, 1 for the Pesach, and 1 for koirach. And possibly those last 2, one of them should be a bigger kezayis also. Bottom line, I'm right now speaking to the women, so if a man would ask this question, may get a different answer. But I'm going with the assumption that most women have a difficulty eating a large amount. So I would suggest that if they eat 30 gram for 1 kazayis, that's good enough. Because if you look at the measure, the difference between the small kazayis and the big kazayis is almost double. So if you have 1 big one and drop more than 1 big one, you actually have 2 smaller ones. Understand? So we just made 1 kazayas turn into 2. Is it understood what I just said? Yeah, you got it? Okay, you ladies understand what I'm saying? So
can you say it again?
Yes. Okay. Look at the sheet, or whatever the chat, whatever it is. The kazayas is 17 or 30. 30 is almost twice 17, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you have 17 twice, you have like 35 grams. So if you had 1 big kazayas, your yaitza 2 small shiurim. So if a person, again, I'm not right now speaking about people who are celiac. I'm speaking about people who just don't want to take in a lot of food. And Leil HaSeder, there's also the mitzvah of Simchas HaChag. You're supposed to enjoy the meal also. And if you're going to be eating this matzah and maror and wine, it doesn't do great things for your stomach. So I would suggest not overeating. Okay, so ideally, I would like that if you could have 30 grams. And that is those, I have the line underneath it, that's for those who have it in ounces. Some people are still in America in the caveman stage. Okay, that's as far as that's concerned. The wine is not supposed to be sipped. This is not a social drink that you sip your wine. 1 cup lasts you a whole meal. The wine is supposed to be taken in relatively short amount of time, maybe 2 gulps. 6 seconds are as amounts of times that are given, which is relatively a quick amount of time. That's what should really be done. And again, there also, if a person doesn't do it, there are other shiurim. I didn't write them down. There's 2 minutes, and it goes also up to 9 minutes of time that a person really should drink the wine rather rapidly. That's very important. Okay, those are issues which I feel need a chizuk. Because people are so busy doing other things that they forget about it. There's also another issue which I would like to raise with the women folk, and I'm being a chauvinist, being that I'm a man, so I'm going to say that you have a problem that I don't have. At least in my house, the one who runs the Seder is me, and the one who really runs the Seder is my wife. You know, it's the one who does all the behind-the-scenes work is my wife, and she has to orchestrate that everything is done on time, etc. Many times there are women that want to go out in the middle of Magid to make sure that the food is being prepared properly like it's supposed to be, which is a wonderful thing to do, but not during Magid. Magid is a mitzvah, d'oraisa, according to many, to speak about Yitzias Mitzrayim. Every word is important, every word is a mitzvah. So I would just like saying, what would you say if you were in shul and you see some man walk out of the shul in the middle of davening, and he goes into the kitchen to take a look to see how the kiddush is being, the pot, the cholent, how is it okay? It should be moved over. Is that what he's supposed to be doing during davening? No, he's supposed to be davening. Maybe that's his personal job or something like that. So too, Leil HaSeder, your job is to be a participant. And your children are looking. How involved are you? So it's important that just like you would like your children to be involved, you too should be involved. It's a very important idea. And I'm just going to share with you a story that a friend of mine told me, which I believe is really very important. Like thousands of years ago, like a year ago or two, people used to go shopping on Erev Pesach to buy things for their kids. And my friend told me that his son wanted to buy a new hat. And he said, Abba, come with me to the store to buy a hat. And his father didn't really want to go to the store to buy a hat. He wanted to learn. But his son asked him, so he said, okay, I'll go with you. So he goes, he schleps with him down to the place to buy a hat. They buy a hat, and they come back, spend 2 hours with this kid, and this kid puts on the hat at home, and he says, you know what, this is no good. I want to go back tomorrow and switch it in for another one. Can you come with me tomorrow too? So you could imagine the father wasn't so excited about going back again. So, go buy your hat yourself. That's what he wanted to say. And then he said, in a week's time, my son is going to come to the Leil HaSeder, and I'm going to want him to respond like the Ben to his father. That's not going to happen in a void. You have to foster that relationship. I want my son to be a participant in Leil HaSeder like the Ben who's Shoel. So I have to develop that relationship. That relationship demands of me that I go with him shopping, that we have formed this kind of a camaraderie, which will make it that he'll be interested in discussing his questions about Leil HaSeder with me, which I think is a very beautiful story. And I believe, and this is something which I feel very strongly about, Chazal tell us that Tisha Kav and Sicha were given to women, that the women are 9 times more involved, or they're given the ability to speak than men. And if the Gemara is telling that to us, it's telling it to us for a positive reason. We should understand something. So I'm going to share with you something. I don't know if it's mine or I stole it, whatever it is, but I believe that it's true. You watch a mother unpack her groceries, and she has a little kid, 2 or 3-year-old over there. So as she unpacks the groceries, she tells the kids, oh, this is this thing, and this is what you make with it. And she tells the kid about all the things that are coming out of the bag, going onto the shelf. You will never see a man do that. I can promise you, no man is going to do that. So why is the lady doing this? The answer is she's teaching her child. She doesn't realize that she's teaching her child, but that's actually, HaKadosh Baruch Hu put it into her nature that she should talk, and through her talking, there is learning that goes on in the home. And this is actually, I heard once from a Rebbitzin who today is very famous. She said the reason why Tisha Kav and Sicha were given to women, it used to be when a lady would prepare her food, so she would say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me atzlocha, that what I'm making should come out good, or whatever it is. And Baruch Hashem, the Yetzer Hara replaced it with the telephone. Now when you're preparing your food, you just talk on the phone to your friend. What was really supposed to be happening was that when you're preparing your food, you're supposed to be being mispala. And this actually, it says in Hilchos Shabbos, when a person goes to buy food for Shabbos, they're supposed to say the words, you're buying this on Kavod Shabbos, because those words of Kedusha that you say actually give Kedusha into the food. So when you're preparing for the Leil HaSeder, when you're cleaning, and with your daughters, and you say some positive things about Leil HaSeder, something to think about, you are actually can gear them up for the Leil HaSeder. It's very important that you gear them up, because if you don't, it's not going to happen. So it's very important that that should be done. Anyways, so this is Leil HaSeder. You should be there for Magid. And just like we said, Gamliel says, whoever doesn't say these three things, they're not Yoitza. The women also have to say. I'm willing to say that I believe that all the members of our shul are fluent in Hebrew. They can all read the text. I do believe that some of them maybe don't know all the translation of all the words. And it's worthwhile to know all the translation, because it's all important. This is your mitzvah, the mitzvah of Leil HaSeder. And if you don't understand something, you can ask a question. It's not only children are supposed to ask, adults are supposed to ask. And it's really a wonderful situation. I will just say that in some homes, they have a lot of question and answer time done during the meal. Many times there are kids who come prepared. This year, I don't know how prepared the kids are going to be, because many of them weren't in school. But the kids who come prepared, and they have all kinds of things to say, it should be worked out that they can say them at different times throughout the Leil HaSeder. And sometimes, maybe you could ask your husbands to prepare with your children, strategically placed pieces, because in many homes there are parts of the Seder that are dry, and other parts are overcrowded. So if you could work it out that everybody have some kind of a place at the Seder with their vort, which will give entertainment, enjoyment, and open the eyes and wonder to the other people there, that would be a great thing. All right. Now I would like, anybody else have any questions about the Leil HaSeder? Okay. No questions? That's great. This year, I would like to give a warning on a different level. I believe that this year, because some people are a little bit ahead of where they usually are because of the situation that we're in, this lockdown environment, there are people that are preparing from Pesach and then going to the Chametz, and then going from the Chametz to the Pesach, back and forth, back and forth. And this is something that has to be done in a way that there are no mistakes that are made. I'm not only speaking about cutlery, pots, moving from one place to the other, because I believe that that's probably not going to happen, but I'm speaking about that people are wearing clothing and they're not alcohol gelling their hands. They're not brushing off their clothing with the chametz when they go to the Pesach. And a person can inadvertently put into his Pesach tikka food, he could put in chametz because he was preparing for Pesach early. So it's important that all of you make sure that if you're going from chametz to Pesach, Pesach to chametz, that is called in my house, you do the Pesach dance. There has to be some kind of a ritual that's done, that through that ritual, this problem doesn't happen. That's important nekuda, which I believe should be implemented. And also, there's a...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
On
please.
that?
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, not so far ahead because of other things going on. Lots of kids to look after, but the shopping was done much earlier than normal. So, due to the fact that when I bought the stuff in the shop, there was still chametz everywhere, should everything be wiped down? Or because it was bought in, everything's been put in a cupboard by itself, but it wasn't...
I don't think so, but it depends what kind of goods you're talking about. When you're talking about dry goods, packaged items, I don't think that there's any reason to be concerned because all of those packages were just next to other Pesach Dika packaged items. In other words, you took them out and you put them onto your cart, which I'm sure you use the clean cart, and then you put them into your clean bag, and then you put them, into the into your Pesach place. It's highly unlikely that there should be chametz between the packages when they are being stacked on the shelves. Okay, hello?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. That's an important idea. There are those who have all kinds of minhagim, people who wash everything off, and the people who cover everything. There's all kinds of minhagim. I'm not going to get involved in that right now. It's not a primarily concern at this point, but I do believe that the cleaning for Pesach also has to be divided into two different categories. There's a cleaning for Pesach and there's a spring cleaning. Spring cleaning is also important. It should be done for Yontif. There are people who paint before Pesach. That's wonderful. It's a good activity. If you have kids at home, you can have them swim in the paint or whatever. You can do whatever you want. But what is called cleaning for Pesach is what's really the chametz. And a person should be aware that that's the primary concern. A person should also, and I'm mentioning this is people who are switching over from chametz to Pesach, l'chatchila, the areas that were cleaned for chametz, before you put in the Pesach dishes, bedikas chametz should be done in them, even if it's not on bedikas chametz night, because otherwise, when is the bedika done? Right? Just imagine the husband comes in on bedikas chametz night into the kitchen that's full of paper and all the chametz things. He rips everything out and he starts looking there with his candle to find chametz. The chatchila, this should be taken care of beforehand. According to some, what?
How?
I didn't hear. Out the evening beforehand, you take a candle and you just go over it. There's nothing inside of it. It should take no more than 3 minutes. Okay?
And we can do it?
You could do it. Yeah, I think b'diavad you could do it, that's for sure. Not only that, I would just suggest, according to some, this is a interesting idea, that this in Corel, it suggests if you paper, then that also works, that you don't have to check it for chametz. So I will just mention this idea of putting paper up on all the closets. This is a throwback to the days of wooden non-formica shelving that was cracked and stuff and things spilled. It's not so clear that this has to be done nowadays at all, at least in the places where we store food. And not only that, the food that we store, most of the food that we store in these places are in packages themselves. Because we don't put food in your cupboard by itself. The food is in some kind of a container in your cupboard, right? It's, the only place where you put real food down is in your refrigerator, where you put food or something like that. And there in the refrigerator, usually people have some kind of a Pesach insert or something like that. That's also an important idea. Anybody have any questions on this issue? No. Okay. So anyways, all the places, and I'm just going to mention this again, your places where you put your winter clothing in the summer, your summer clothing in the winter, which are really just real storage areas. They're not used on an ongoing basis, and they're only done as I call projects. You don't go in the middle, let me get down my sweater, which is, unless you have one kind of sweater that is for the, changing weather kind of thing. People don't go in there in the middle of nothing, and therefore one would not be obligated to check those places to see if there's any chametz inside of them. If you have children that are little rascals that go all over the place, then there's a special Mishnah Berurah said for you mothers, whatever. Then you never know where you have to check or not check to find out what's going on. I would just like to mention there are some people who, this is for people, some women that work out of home. Now they're not working out of home. If they have chametz in those areas, the places where they're working, and they didn't do b'dikas chametz when you or your husband arranges for mechiras chametz, those addresses should also be taken care of. Okay, that's very important for those people who, I know I saw somebody called me that they have an office that's 2 hours away from Ramat Beit Shemesh, and now they're working blissfully at home, and they want to know that they have to make a 4-hour trek because they didn't do b'dikas chametz over there. So the answer to that question is no, you don't. And I find this many times, people forget to write it into the shtar. You have to write it into the shtar that you have another address, or you have a desk, whatever it is that you have in that place that should be taken care of. All right. Anybody? Any more questions? No? Okay. So if that's it, then I guess we'll stop over here. And you should all have a Chag Kosher v'Sameach. If I'm not mistaken, Wednesday night there's going to be a Agada shir. I think we'll work it out there. If ladies want to listen to that, they could listen to that too. I guess there'll be some kind of email posted on that. All right. Have a good night and a Chag Kosher v'Sameach and a joyful preparation.